How you doing, Math 8? I'm just going to go over Chapter 7, Section 1 with you. We're going to do this in two parts. This is all about square roots, and the first thing I want to remind you about are square numbers. These are the actual drawings of square numbers. So I went 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36. Now, if you look at the squares carefully, we'll pay attention that the base times the height are the same. So instead of writing h for height, I'm just going to write base times base. Because what we're saying here is that 1 times 1 is 1. Over here, we're saying that the base of 3 is the same as this measure over here. 3 times 3 is 9. Okay? Over here, we're saying that 5 times 5 is 25. And that's the case with all these numbers. Okay? All square numbers have a pair of factors that are identical. So 4 squared is 16. 6 squared is 36. And when we look at all these numbers, that's the case. 7 squared is 49. 10 squared is 100. Okay? So now we're going to talk about the square roots really quick. I know that we've already gone over this, but I'm going to go over it again. This really cool symbol is called the radical. Okay, and whatever we put inside the radical is the radicand. And then the important part of this over here is the index. This little v of the radical, that's called the index. And when this index is blank, if you don't see a little number here, that means we're talking about a square root. So what is the square root of the number given? Okay? So here we go. This is how we show our work. For those of you who are always confused about, well, how do we show our work? Here we go. This is the square root of 100. Okay, I just talked about that one. So what we want to do is we want to expand it and show the two numbers that are identical, okay? And then our answer is simply that, 10, okay? It's pretty much that simple. Here, let's do the negative square root of 81. Okay, so now this time what we're talking about is what are the two numbers that equal 81? Okay, so that would be 9 times 9. But what we're pointing out here is that the answer to this is going to be a negative 9. And that's because a negative 9 squared, or the quantity negative 9 squared, is 81. Because that's negative 9 times negative 9, and that's a positive 81. And let's try this last one. Let's try a positive negative. Sometimes they will ask you to be very specific like that. And this time we're going to do a fraction. And if you look at the numerator and you look at the denominator, they're both square numbers. They're up here. 9 is right there, and then 64 is right here. And so our factors for the numerator are 3 times 3. And our factors for 64 are 8 times 8. And so the answer to this is going to be positive, negative 3/8. So what we're saying is that it could be a positive 3/8 times a positive 3/8, or the answer could be a negative 3/8 times a negative 3/8. Because when you multiply two positives, or you multiply two negatives, you have a positive answer.